Good morning and welcome to The Big Story. Today we focus on a conversation that goes beyond politics, as usual, and speaks directly to inclusion, representation, and the future of Nigeria's democracy. Breaking barriers, the place of women and youth in Nigeria's political decision-making. Women and young people form the backbone of Nigeria's population, yet their presence in key political spaces remains minimal. Why does this gap persist, and what must change to ensure a more balanced and representative governance system? These are the questions we'll be examining this morning. Joining us is a passionate advocate for inclusion and political participation, Farmer Omolara K. Busari Svenson, convener of the Women and Youth in Politics. She brings practical insight, data-driven advocacy, and grassroots experience to the crucial discussion. This is The Big Story, and Samson Balogun is my name. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, with women accounting for almost 50% of the population, and young people making up over 60%, with a median age of about 18 years. Yet, when it comes to political decision-making, these numbers are not reflected. Currently, women occupy less than 5% of seats in Nigeria's National Assembly, placing the country among the lowest globally in female political representation. In the 10th National Assembly, women hold only a handful of seats out of 469. At the state level, the picture is not much better, with many state assemblies having either one or no female legislators at all. For young people, despite the passage of the Not Too Young to Run Act, representation remains largely symbolic. Youths under the age of 35 hold less than 5% of the elective positions nationwide. Many are active during campaigns and as mobilizers, volunteers, and sometimes voters, but barely make it into spaces where laws are debated and policies are shaped. These gaps are driven by multi-barriers, right? Cultural norms, economic constraints, political violence, lack of party support, and limited access to political structure. Breaking these barriers is not just about fairness. It is about strengthening our democracy, improving governance, outcomes, and ensuring that leadership reflects the realities of the people it serves. To unpack these realities and explore pathways forward, we are joined by Farmer Omolara K. Busari Svenson, and she is the convener of Youth in Politics, who has consistently championed inclusion, capacity building, structural reforms for women and young people in Nigeria's political landscape. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning. How are you today, Samson?
I'm fine.
I must make a correction there.
Okay.
It's women and youth in active politics. We are all participating in politics one way or the other, but in active politics.
Wow, interesting. Well, there's a lot to unpack on this show this morning, and we are going to make sure we touch as many talking points as possible. Right. But then, before we go forward, who is Omolara K. Busari?
Well, Omolara Svenson is, I'm a farmer.
Wow.
All I've done my adult life is agriculture. I say everywhere I go that everything I am or you see on me is agricultural wealth. So that's who I am, and it is in the process of me trying to climb the ladder to the topmost in agriculture that I got to realize how important it is for we Nigerian women and youth not just to participate every 4 years in electoral processes, but to be involved in active politics. So I'm a farmer. I do commodity export. I process OOK rice. I do everything in agriculture, and I am the national coordinator for women and youth in agriculture.
Okay.
So that is who I am. I'm a mother, and yeah. I am a politician.
Well, women and youth in agriculture definitely points to a direction where we can discover how you got into women and youth in active politics.
Okay, so just a very short story. When I got appointed as the SA for women and youth in agricultural innovation, to my boss, the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture. And I had, my first experience in working directly with government. Everything that we complain about in the agricultural sector, as a Nigerian that is not in government, this should be done, that should be done, I started seeing why some things are not being done the way they're supposed to be done, and why they're not going to be done anyways, because there is not enough right pegs to put in the right hole. Not wanting to, well, we're talking politics, so I can stand political. One of the most beautiful things that has happened to Nigeria in the past 3 years was Mr. President coming out to say there is food insecurity in Nigeria. Because those of us in the agricultural sector has been hammering on this for years.
For a long time.
For actually over 10 years now. But because the moment that Mr. President announced this, you saw that everybody wanted to go into agriculture. That's how it works. That's how the system is. But because the past administrations has been quiet about it, nobody took it seriously. We all were just complaining. So when Mr. President came and he announced this and then appointed someone like my boss, who is an agriculturist, he's a vet doctor, he's he studied agri-economics as well, and then he appointed somebody like me who's been in the agricultural sector for over 2 decades. Then I was then able to see why things in the agricultural sector are not going the way they're supposed to go. And then I started reading and learning and asking questions and actually getting to understand how our system, our constitution works. And that was where I got the wake-up call. I used to tell my women, we're farmers, we're not politicians. An ignorant stage of my life. Because the truth is, in order for us to actually get Nigeria of our dreams, not only in the agricultural sector, in all walks of life, women and youth has to be actively involved in politics, not at the senatorial level only, or National Assembly or what have you, but at the grassroots level, because it is a system. That is where it all starts from. So you see someone, they're setting up a committee that is going to discuss, for example, what should be the law that we should pass in terms of organic cultivation of our staple foods. And in this committee, there has to be 2-3 slots, has to be a political slot, right? Then you have this slot and you don't have anyone who is a seasoned farmer or agriculturist that belongs to any political party or is active at the grassroots. So the slot will be given to a civil servant or someone who is or not even qualified to be there. So you then see us. That's why I said that was an ignorant stage of my life. Then I go on TVs like this and I say the government is not this, the government is not that. So I look back and I'm like, a lot of people in government would have just been looking at me like, oh my God, she's so ignorant of what is actually really going on. So the situation is so deep, and we really, really have to start talking about it, because if you leave your house on guard, then you have no right complaining about what happens to your house and what you have in your house, because that's what women and youth in Nigeria, myself inclusive, has been doing for decades, by saying that politics is dirty, politics is for illiterates, politics is this and politics is that. And then these people get elected into offices, then we expect them to deliver
dividends of democracy.
Which is not possible.
Okay, very quickly, before we move deep into what we want to discuss, if youths take about 50% of the population, and women also take almost the same or even more.
Women 51
point something percent. Why do we still have older men at the corridor of power?
It's very simple. So the good thing though is part of the good
at least let me say being dominated, political space being dominated by older men.
We don't have youth. That's the truth. I mean, I am very active now in Oyo State's politics and my constituency, Egbeda Onara Federal constituency. And the truth is, we do not have youth. That's the truth. If I sit here and I say to you that we have youth.
That would be a bold claim to say we do not have youth.
Okay, so
because you go out and you see them on the television and say, oh, we have a good number of
we do
youth
not have youths that are active.
Okay.
We have youths that are being called upon when there is a need for youths to be called upon. And when I say we don't have youths, I mean we don't have youths like yourself that are active at the grassroots level. The youths that we have at the grassroots level that are active now does not even understand their role in active politics. Their understanding of what their role in active politics is not doing them or me or anyone in Nigeria a favor. So that's why I made that bold statement that we do not have youths in active politics. The youths that we have now needs to be, they have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things to understand that this is what my role is in active politics. These are what I shouldn't even look into in active politics. I use the trainings we do, a very good example of, if they give birth to a son or a child in a palace today, and the child is taken out of the palace to a slum somewhere, that child is going to grow up understanding that I grew up in a slum, I should go out on the street to beg for alms to survive. But the day that child realizes what the potential or is or our own heritage, the child's mentality starts to change. This is exactly the situation of what we have with Nigerian youths now in active politics. So we have two categories of them, and I'm talking about the grassroots now. Okay. We have a handful of youths now that are waking up, maybe just like I got an eye-opener, or their father had risen to the top and they see they have been exposed to how government works and they say they want to come into politics. And then you see them. Those ones don't normally start from grassroots like I am doing. They just come out and they run for offices. Those are not the youths that I'm talking about. And even those ones, they are 0.0% of the youth population that we're talking about. So talking about youths at the grassroots level, we do not have youths, Nigerian youths, at the grassroots level. Okay. That is the truth. The very few youths that we have now at the grassroots level needs a lot of reorientation. That's the word I was looking for. They need to unlearn and relearn a lot of things to understand the power that they possess, that it is beyond coming out during election to stall voting process or to try to sabotage the voting process or to steal a ballot boxes. No, their power is far beyond that. If only they understand it and they are patient enough to go through the process. Because if our youth actually pays attention, 10% of the attention they put on things like what's trending, what's this celebrity doing and all of that into the electoral act. And they read and understand the power and the influence that they possess. The act of stalling electoral processes, stealing ballot boxes is, I'm trying to get the English word, is an act of alaimoko, an ignorant act. Because if you know that, if I know that I don't necessarily have to get physical with you, I could just take my pen and write a letter and get you detained. You get my point? So the difference is huge, and this is really, really painful. We did a survey, I think about 3 months ago, and we had our guys go on the street of Ibadan, from UI to Bodija to OJ, so we could, and most of the students in UI that actually said, oh yes, I should. First of all, do you know why you should get involved in politics? They're like, yes, they know, but you see that the love and the passion for their country is no longer there, so they care less. The few ones that actually still has the passion and there's a word for it, the national pride to say, yes, I want to be part of the electoral process in my country. They're just like, oh no, if I'm to come into politics, I'll run for Senate. But then do you know the processes that you need to go through for you to before you get there? Do you understand? So these are the issues that we have, and that's why I say all the time that it's a lot of work, it's a lot of reform. We as a people has to be intentional about changing our understanding or our orientation about why every single Nigerian youth and woman that is above the age of 18 should participate actively
in politics.
politics.
All right. Some have argued that this kind of movement is based on what you would call mere inclusion rather than developmental necessity.
Well, okay, so Tony you see, if our youths are serious, you know, nothing, power, freedom is not given on a platter of gold. And because this is a sector, if I'm allowed to use that word, that has been left untouched for a long time, and then the so-called elderly politicians had also taken advantage of it for their own personal gains and what have you. There has to be a serious, it's a movement like I call it and like you said, and there has to be a serious determination within a certain group of people that we want to change things. We want to start word by word, you know, local government by local government, before we can start being taken seriously. Just like it is in the agricultural sector, I discover it's the same way that it is in our electoral act. Nigeria has one of the best electoral acts in the world. The problem is interpretation and implementation. Just like we have a lot of policies in the agricultural sector that if they are being implemented today, if we're not at the same level with Israel, would be getting there. But there is no implementation, and in that's agri sector. Here, politics, there is no interpretation, let alone understanding it. It's a huge, it's a lot of work. National Orientation Agency has a lot to do in this regards as well. There is a lot of misconception out there, especially when it comes to women and youth that are in politics. Oh, the women in politics are useless women. They don't have time for children. I'm not saying there are no challenges. I'm not saying some of these things are not true based on our cultural beliefs and our society and what have you. But if we keep looking at what the challenges are, we're not going to move anywhere. And the truth be told, the sad truth is, if we continue the way we are, there is not going to be any significant change.
I was about to ask you about the challenges. What risks are involved if this exclusion continues unchecked?
Well, we'll be worse than we are now. When I mean worse, like really, really, really worse. I mean, we're on international TV. In the past, we've had very, very unpleasant administrations nationwide, you know, from councillorship to presidential. So you expect whatever we've seen before that we think was not good, you expect the worst of it in the near future. That's what, because it's a pipeline and it requires training. So who is in the pipeline for your next local government chairman? Who is in the pipeline for your next commissioner for agriculture? Who is in the pipeline? Let's even say that's an appointed seat, right? Let's talk about electoral seat. Who is in the pipeline that is under 40, like other countries, that's for your presidential, as your presidential candidate? None. At the grassroots level, they're not known. They come 1 year to election from the US, UK, what have you, and they want to be president of Nigeria. It doesn't really work like that. You have to have been in the pipeline. And when I say pipeline or system, I'm not saying just godfatherism, because everyone say, oh, so they mean, no. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to understand the system. Every country, every home, everywhere, every constitution has a system, how we work, how we function, how you can get there. Then when you get there, you can understand, oh, this is how I got here, and this is how I can make some changes to things that needed to be changed. But we don't have that. Look at the situation that we are right now in your state in terms of gubernatorial candidates and what have you. It is sad for a nation that has youths that are first-class degree holders under the age of 25, a lot of them, PhD holders and what have you. We have all of that, and we're exporting ourselves out to other nations to develop other nations, while our house or our home is going down bit by bit every second. Okay,
very quickly, let me ask you this question, and let's talk about the current reality in Nigeria. How would you assess the current participation of youth and women in politics in Nigeria as of this morning?
It's a failure. we don't have that, which again, I really do appreciate this administration, not because I'm part of this administration. I appreciate this administration for the not too young to run, but the reserved seat bill for women that is being pushed. There has been so many challenges where this cannot work that has been thrown at my table. But as it is with everything, when Nigeria was named Nigeria, there were 1 million challenges in front of them then why Nigeria cannot be Nigeria. How many years after? We're still here anyways. We're not where we should be, but we're still standing. So let this bill be passed first. Either we like it or not, women plays a vital role in building anything. In building anything. Do we come with our challenges? Yes. But we play a vital role in building. I know a lot of men that cannot do a quarter of what I do. That's the truth. It's not because I'm a superhuman. It's because I am wired that way and you are not wired that way. And just like there are things that men can do as well that I am not wired to do, which is why we both have to learn how to coexist and support each other. I like to use an example. During COVID, all the countries that the prime ministers were women had the lesser death during COVID.
I was about to ask you this question, just about what you just said. Nigeria compared to countries like Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa, what are they doing differently to improve inclusion? And just like you said, what did they do differently at that time?
Well, they had women in a lot of managerial positions. For example, the Minister for Agriculture in Kenya is a woman. It's just the way we're wired. It's like the home. Look at the home when daddy is in charge and when mommy is in charge. When mommy has to travel for a week, what do you have with the children? Okay. Mommy will cook, clean, make sure the car has fuel in it, drop the children in time, still make it to our own office and come back home and still prepare dinner. Leave daddy with 2 kids for 2 hours. Or let daddy have a cold. And I had a cold. I was almost not going to come for this program. I'm seated here today. We're wired differently. Everyone has their role. So if a woman is so important, building the home and the society, imagine the system. And if we bring it back home a little bit, look at all the men that has been great.
Before you go ahead, because of our time, well, we are going to open the phone lines and take at least 1 or 2 calls on this show this morning and take a few questions. Okay, the studio line will be displayed on the screen and shortly. Okay, the studio line is 2349165122000. All right, once again 09165122000. That's the studio line to call. We are going to take some phone calls on this show, at least 1 or 2, and then you can go ahead. But then before you go, let me ask you, to what extent do cultural norms and societal expectations still limit women and youth from aspiring for leadership positions? I know of some situations where they will say women don't lead, and also of some places in Nigeria where women it's really difficult for women to actually assume roles of leadership.
Well, a lot. I mean, and it's sad. Again, I'll use my experience. My experience is rooted in agriculture. We still have in Nigeria, sadly, societies where a woman cannot own a land. Even though it's her land, she inherited it from her father and married the man. And the man passes on. This is the land she's using to feed her kids, maybe 5 or 6 kids. The brothers of the husband comes and take the land away from her. It's still that sad. In Nigeria, now you ask, is that legal? No, it's not legal. There is nowhere, which is why I tell my women, there is nowhere in our constitution that says you can't own a land. So if you inherit a land, go to your secretariat, get it registered, get your CFO.
Okay. This
is how much religion and cultural belief still has hold on us as a people. And that's why when I advocate, again in agriculture, which will start in politics as well, we go to traditional rulers and to religious leaders, because these two institutes plays a major role in resetting our mindset as a people. I still have farmers that will say, this insurance is 1,500 for the period of 4 months you are cultivating your corn. Please pay for it. Look at it as the money you have used for Sadaka or something. They say, no, Daddy Gio said I will not experience any loss.
And that's the angle of religion.
And that's the angle of religion. The same way as, in our lineage, a woman cannot take a CEO position in the office. She will no longer respect the husband. Is it that woman you're expecting her to now say that, my husband, I want to collect nomination form. I've been going to ward meetings. I know that if I become the state honorable, I can influence this, I can move this motion, I can move that motion. And the husband will say, oh, you are not even yet...
Okay, very good. I think we have a phone call. We have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
All right, good morning. This is Farmer from Abuja.
Oh, thank you for calling.
I'd like to say thank you for this important conversation. And I would like to ask 2 questions, actually.
Okay.
And the first is, if women and young people shape Nigeria's future, shouldn't they also have a stronger voice in deciding it?
Okay.
And what practical steps can be taken now to ensure that this inclusion goes beyond conversation?
Okay, all right.
Another thing I want to talk about is Nigeria has a predominantly young population and young people that are very active during elections and civic engagement. However, when it comes to actual political decision making, they are largely absent. Whereas the numerical strength of youth not translated into real political power and representation. Thank you.
All right. She was also talking about what do you intend to do to make sure that this is not just mere conversation?
I'm supporting the reserve seat for women to start with.
Okay.
I'm advocating for it. I had attended a couple of meetings at the National Assembly. I work hand in hand, very close with Honorable Kafila Togbara, Tone Okewale of Women Radio. This is just how far we can go. And again, I'm happy. It's a huge progress for this administration, because the bill has never come this far, and we all know how our system is. For the bill to come this far, and for the Speaker of the House to actually be supporting this bill, it means that we had already taken this inclusion for women beyond just conversations in TV rooms. Okay,
the studio line to that once again. Let's take one more phone call before we go. Is 09165 122 000. 09165 122 000. Okay, we have a caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Emilian Desmond from Olako Ishola.
Okay, thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Your question, please.
Kudos to you, and I will actually be enjoying the show so far. But why the guest was speaking the other time, she said there are no youth at the grassroots level.
Okay.
And then the current youth at the grassroots level need reorientation. So I've been thinking, during every electioneering process in Nigeria, these are the majority. So why do we have only youth as voters, and then this is not translated into leadership, like the holy votes, and then there's this restriction or there's this friction when it comes to leadership processes? Thank you so much.
All right, he's talking about where there are restrictions when it comes to leadership for youth, but then they are active when it comes to voting, grassroots mobilization, and others.
Yeah, that's why I used the word that we do not have youths, because the youths that we have at the grassroots do not understand their role and their potential in active politics. So their understanding is this is where they belong, what they are using them for now. And when they're done using them for that, they are gone. So we need youths that would be intentional. Young men and women like yourself and myself that will be intentional and are ready to be a part of the process by attending. Identify your word. There is no shortcut to it. You want to become a leader, you want to become a governor tomorrow, or what have you, senator, House of Rep, because things are changing. It's no longer going to be like it used to be. That Oga said, it's not going to happen again. Thank goodness for technology. So be active. Attend ward meetings, even if it's once a month or in 3 months. Let them know you at your locality. Participate in the community services. Attend meetings. Actually, these things are simpler than we thought. Once you're known in your ward and you attend your local government meeting, give yourself 6 months. If you're an active person, you know what you're doing, you contribute, you ask questions, you answer questions. Before you know what is happening, you're known.
In the community.
And then your journey starts. And then they say, oh, there is senatorial meeting. Oh, when are we going? Where is the location? Attend your senatorial meeting. From senatorial meeting, attend state meeting.
Okay.
So if you come out a year or two after that and you say, oh, even though you know maybe your chances are not there yet, I also want my name on the ballot. I want to run for governorship. You know, I say, oh, who is how? Omo is from our ward. Oh, he's from this senatorial district.
Now they are familiar with the name.
Now they're familiar with the name. They know the face. So, and while you're doing all of this, you're actually building yourself. You're learning a lot. I had learned a lot in the past 1 year in terms of how politics works that I had learned all my life.
Okay, this is a conversation that we'll have to continue some other time. Our time is fast spent on the show this morning, but of course, it's an eye-opening session with you, and we'll have to continue some other time. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. That's been a wonderful session with you. And as we wrap up the big story today, one thing is clear. Nigeria cannot afford to sideline women and youth if truly it seeks development. And of course, they see development as a necessity. Samson Balogun is my name. Until the next time that we shall be meeting on another edition of The Big Story. I say keep being good out there, keep being safe. Bye for now.